Hi, my name is Dan Mace, and yesterday, the 21st of March 2020, I tested positive for the COVID-19 virus in Cape Town, South Africa. Firstly, this is the letter that you get. There we go. After you go in for the swab test. I'll read it to you. SARS coronavirus 2 RNA was detected in the sample, and then I got a call from my doctor to say that I've tested positive. Before I get started, these are some basic simple facts about myself in hope to better understand for research purposes. 1, I'm 30 years old. 2, my diet at the time of contracting the virus is vegan. 3, I'm reasonably active. 4, I do take medication daily. It's an SSRI pill for depression. It's called Citraz and the dose is 10 milligrams. 5, I have no allergies. 6, I've had no previous life-threatening illnesses. Okay, this story begins about a month ago. It was on the morning of the 19th of February in my apartment in Los Angeles. I woke up with extreme fatigue. I couldn't understand why, but every single time I tried to get out of bed, as soon as I stood up, I just felt completely faint and I went to lie back down. I then later got in touch with my business partner to tell him that I won't be able to work that day. I still couldn't understand exactly what was going on, and what I had said to him was that it was probably just a whole bunch of stress. Then I proceeded to sleep that entire day and woke up that night with extreme night sweats. My bed and blanket were both drenched. Then the headache that came on the morning after was alarming. The pain, the sensation in my eyes, super sensitive to the light, and this overwhelming sensation of dizziness, as well as just feeling really lightheaded. But that morning, I then opted to try and get outdoors, as I took advice from a friend of mine, which was, that I'm probably just going through the motions of extreme stress from work, and maybe by getting outdoors and doing some exercise, it would reduce this. So I got into the car and off we went to go and surf. But it was by the time then when I put on my wetsuit, I realized that I was so out of breath. It was as if I'd run a marathon without actually doing any exercise. I then tried to paddle out into the lineup, but after failing to do so, I realized that whatever I was feeling was just not caused from stress, as I'd never experienced anything like this before. That night I couldn't really sleep, and I did a whole bunch of research really trying to figure out what was wrong with me. What I hadn't yet realized is I'd completely lost my sense of smell and taste. I just hadn't had an appetite in those 3 days, so I wasn't yet fully aware of it. On the morning of day 4, February the 23rd, I woke up and my heart was racing. My heart was it was beating so hard in my chest. My head was spinning, my eyes were super sensitive to light, and my ears were highly sensitive to sound. I had a huge pain in my chest, but still no runny nose and no phlegm in my chest. But I did have a strangely dry cough, and I just knew that it was time to see a doctor immediately. Illness that's going around, and he said to me, "Have you been to China recently?" And I said no. Then he asked me about my symptoms. He checked my vitals and said that I just do not show enough extreme symptoms to go through the process of having a corona test. But what he can do is give me an influenza B test, which is a similar test to the coronavirus test, the COVID-19 test, which is a white tube with a bud on the top that they put up your nose and take a swab, pull it out, and they can do the reading right then and there, which came up positive for an influenza B, which he then told me this may turn into pneumonia, and then gave me a list of symptoms which I could possibly feel within the next couple of days, which are very similar to those what have uncovered themselves as now as the COVID-19 symptoms. He then gave me a flu shot, told me to rest and to not do any exercise for, the next 5 days. The following 2 to 3 days, things started to get way worse, and I developed what I believed then to be pneumonia. It took a large amount of energy just to get a deep breath of air, and I've never felt anything more intense than that sensation in my entire life. And then finally on March 1st, 2020, I woke up and I started feeling oddly normal. I made myself a cup of coffee, I sat down at my desk and I started working like I would have any other day. And then it was when I made myself breakfast that I realized I had absolutely no taste and no smell, and that I hadn't had these two senses since the day that I became ill. And then since I'd been assured and reassured by doctors that I don't have any corona symptoms and I was feeling better, I just returned to life as normal. It was then on the 10th of March 2020, I boarded an Emirates flight from Los Angeles, from LAX, that flew its way to Dubai, and from Dubai to Cape Town. My reason for doing this trip was to celebrate my wedding in South Africa the following week. Now, what's super important to note here is on landing in Cape Town, they screened every single passenger that was on board. I got screened. It's a little temperature dial that they put up against your forehead. They read your temperature, and if you show symptoms, they make you stay. If not, they let you pass. They screened me and they let me pass. I then went home, I saw my family, I saw my parents. I went on a weekend away with really close friends of mine to my bachelor's where we were all in very close proximity. Together we then attended a big music festival in Cape Town on the Sunday. But on the Monday, I still hadn't got my sense of taste or smell back. Then it was on Tuesday, the 17th of March, where other patients that have tested positive for the COVID-19 virus came out saying that they have no sense of taste or smell. This all of a sudden immediately urged me to go and get tested. And that takes us to the 21st of March 2020, the day that I was supposed to get married, where obviously our wedding was postponed and for the best reasons possible. But on that afternoon, my doctor phoned me and told me that I've tested positive and I got these forms. Now, I have absolutely no idea what this all means. I have not shown any symptoms since being ill in the States, other than, of course, the loss of taste and smell. Did I indeed get the virus when I was in the States? If so, I just truly hope that I was past the infectious stage by the time I got on a plane and decided to fly back to South Africa. But there were 18 days between the time that I was feeling ill and recovered and got onto the plane to get onto South African soil. There are just so many unanswered questions right now, and I'm in no way a medical professional. I'm just hoping that my story can somehow help others out there. And in the meantime, I am in isolation in my house in Cape Town for the next 14 days. Other than that, don't forget, you're awesome, brew, and stay safe.